All right, we're looking at Student Commonplace. Oh my gosh. This is kind of a mess. All right, we're gonna be looking at Student Commonplace A, Student Commonplace B, and Student Commonplace C. So all of these are rather short. They're only going to be one page. We turn the page and see that there is a signatures page. Now, the reason for this is because every few years, this book is going to transfer to another student. So as an example, it says, spring 2026, Sean Danaher. Page limit is 1, so there's only really supposed to be one page, and the number of pages will increase by one page normally per year, but I was making one in the spring, so I guess I'll make one in the summer and then one in the fall. I might do these a little bit faster, but we'll have to see how it goes. Grade 10, the reason for that is not because I'm in 10th grade. Clearly that would be ridiculous, but I am going to be working on a high school version of this as opposed to one for preschool or elementary school or middle school or whatever else. And so I'm going to switch between 10th, 11th, 12th, and PG. The reason I have PG listed here is because that is the post-grad year, and in my system, I know, making a whole new system for high school when everybody knows it's 4 years. So my system is also 4 years, except it's pushed 1 year into the future. So they start in 10th grade as opposed to 9th grade. So it's just 10th, 11th, 12th, and then 13th. But the 13th is called the post-grad year. You can look that up on Wiki if you want. But anyways, after someone does their post-grad year, the book transfers to a new student who will, again, be in their 10th year because they will just be starting high school. So replaceable is 13. The reason for this is because this is operating under the assumption that we're in a 16-year school system. And so the 10th grade will be the 13th year. And because the number of pages in the binder itself, or in this specific section, which in the student's case will be a binder, is increasing by 1 page per year, what we're doing is we're also increasing the number of replaceable pages. So for example, if there are 13 pages, I would be able to replace all 13 of them. If there are 130 pages, I can only replace 13 pages. And so over time, this book is going to be made up of multiple students, because even if I want to, I can't get rid of everything that the students before me made. I could try, because obviously, this is the ability to remove 14 pages, and the year after that is 15 pages, and the year after that is 16 pages. But, you add all this up, what is that? Let's see. Well, we've got 16 plus 14, so obviously we're going to add another 10 for the ones, and then 10 and 10, so that's 30. And then that's 40 and 50, and it looks like that's 58. That was the worst math ever. So if that math was wrong, let me know, I guess. That would be embarrassing. I didn't do the math beforehand, so that was just me playing around. I know, you should probably add the right side and then the left side, but I just saw it was 40 there, and then I was like, that's 50, and then that's 58. That's doing it wrong, of course. I believe in first grade, my math teacher told me, you're allowed to do it backwards if you're over 100. I think that was just a way for her to mess with her students. But the look on the other guy's face was hilarious. I don't remember which guy it was, but I know he had a very funny face. And I thought in that moment, I should probably live to be over 100 so I can do math incorrectly. But anyways, we're getting away from the main point. The main point is this book is going to start as one single page, not including the signatures page, because we want to keep a record of who had the book and, how old they were, or at least what grade they were in when they had it, and, their name and the year. And you probably want me to get to the actual stuff. So now we have an example page. Now let me just check and see that all of this is on the page. All right, it looks like that's fit. It looks like that's going to fit in the camera angle. I didn't test this ahead of time, so thank you for being here for the test. I appreciate that. Obviously here we have a little bit of the periodic table of elements. As this is a thing for high school, I assume a high schooler would be writing down some stuff about chemistry because that is a very annoying class to have precise information on. That can just be very easy to forget. So here's a note to always rush to science class, under the assumption that there might be a class where you like always have to be on time, and the person who's taking care of this book isn't just taking care of themselves. Like, they might know you always have to rush to science class. They don't have a substitute student. No one's going to class for them when they're out sick. But the next year, or 3 or 4 years later or whatever, there might be another student who has their book. And if the new student knows that they always need to rush to the science class because the teacher either locks the door, or maybe the classroom is far away, or there's a reward for being first, I don't know. But if we see this little note in the binder and we're new to the school, we might be like, oh, I should actually prioritize this thing. And so some of the stuff is for precise information that anyone could search, but other information will be specific to the student body, information that the students should know regarding their school. So down here we have something which is in the wrong location, which means if all of this is French and this is all French, and there's space here, this was probably going to be saved for something, and then the French just got thrown up top. So it might be that there was more French planned here. You might also be thinking, if this is for a high schooler, why is there so much empty space? Why aren't they just cramming it in? And part of that is me being lazy, because I'm just starting this. And so I'm not sure if the viewers on YouTube are going to enjoy it. But if you do enjoy it, I guess I could let you know that there is a Patreon, and I'm going to be doing 3 of these, so you can vote on A, B, or C to continue. The one with the most votes will have 2 copies for the next month or the next season or the next year, whenever I do this again. The one that gets the middle number of votes will have 1 copy, and the one that gets the fewest votes will have 0 copies. The way that this works is the same as it will work in my proposed school system, which is that the notes of the students in the top third stay with that student, obviously, until they finish their 4 years of school. And then those notes are sent, they're copied, and then they are sent to incoming students. So if you're doing well, you pass on 2 copies. If you're doing okay, you pass on 1 copy. And then if you are not having a good time in school, you don't pass on anything. And the reasoning for that is quite simple. The students who are doing well are going to pass on a guide on how to do well. And this isn't just something where we're going to like tell everybody that they suck and they don't belong in the school. Like, we're not doing that. What we're doing is we're saying every 4 years we're going through this book process again. And so only the people in the bottom third don't pass on their book. So I guess maybe like 1 in 9 students will never pass on a book. But you got to be in the bottom third at least 3 times, like, at that point, it's probably not your dog eating your homework, or probably not just problems at home, or probably not just an intellectual or interest problem. Like, it's probably everything at the same time. But who knows, like, it really could be anything. So this is to help a student figure out a chart. Here we have some presidential terms. This is, of course, math, just like a nice little times table. So you can easily check what the numbers are supposed to be. This might be helpful for someone who's always grown up with a computer or a phone, or maybe someone who is in their 30s and forgot some numbers. So let's see. Obviously, 6 times 6 is 36, but I'm not sure if I would have remembered 6 times 7, 42. So we are slipping a 6-7 joke in here, I guess. I don't actually know who uses that or if that is still a joke. But I think that's my first and last time using that in a video. So up next we have French. So down here we have well, let's get to this first. This is just the seasons. So, oh man, I haven't done French in forever. So my pronunciation will be atrocious. Let's see. Is that l'hiver or is that just hiver? I don't know. So hiver, le printemps. No, le printemps. Oh my god. Printemps. Printemps. Nope. I need to drink more water before I can pronounce these. L'hiver, printemps, l'été, l'automne. See, like it's coming back to me slowly. Normally I can only speak another language when I'm speaking to someone who actually understands it, or I listen to two people speak the language for like half an hour. Up until then, I have to force it because it's like, what if the person doesn't understand me? I don't want to be rude. I'm only going to speak the language that I know they understand. So down here, we have the joke of France being a hexagon. Yeah, got l'hexagon. Yeah. And the countries around it are forming a sort of map because, this is where the UK is, this is where Germany is. We've got the Low Countries. I think for Luxembourg, I just wrote Lux. So that could be more helpful, but I was mostly just trying to fill in the big ones, and I assume a student would do the same, although they might enjoy the word Luxembourg. Might be a good name. Maybe they like that. Andorra was probably unnecessary. Spain. I'm not sure if that actually is Spain. Isn't that España? Maybe that's in Spanish. We've got... Oh, right, it's underneath. I haven't looked at this in a while. It did say spring after all, and right now it's 7/11. Not the company, but that is the date. 7/11/2026. Down here we've got Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. Oh, that's kind of helpful. That is a little family tree that someone might have. Mask listed first for easy reading. Okay, that's in English. That's just letting me know that that is masculine, that's feminine, that's masculine, that's feminine, that's masculine, that's feminine, masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine. And there are little la, le, even l'oncle, the little L apostrophe. Over here, we have some of the most common French words. Oh my god. I don't want to do this because j'ai étudié le langue français dans 2013. And right now, it is 13 years after that. So basically, I haven't spoken French in 13 years. And it's been a very long time. So I'm not really sure if I should be trying to speak it right now. So here we have the word for to be, and then to have, and then to do, and then to go. Down here, this is broken off in a little bit of a weird way because just like these belong together, these also belong together. But I think it's because the beginnings are unique. Could also be that I was just looking through a bunch of charts and then I accidentally sliced it because I happened to see that one of the charts on the internet had the same slice. And so maybe I just forgot. I don't know. But it would be a pain to erase, partially because that's close to the corner of the page, but also because I built a chart and I don't really want to shred it. And so that is a bit of a whoops. But as you can see, that is kind of important to draw a distinction to. Of course, these are also quite different. Let's see. Oh my god. Je suis, tu es, il. Oh, il est, elle est, on est. Okay. See, like, these are fine. The we are's, I think that's we are. Like, we are, we have, we do, or we go. Yeah, like nous sommes, nous avons. Oh, that's another thing. So in French, if you have a consonant at the end, or maybe just if it's an S. I think it's, yeah, I think if there's a consonant at the end and then there's a vowel at the beginning of the next word, you like stretch it. So instead of nous avons, it's nous avons. So the S becomes a Z. So correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, this is just a pretty easy one. And we're gonna flip that over. And this one page, because this is the only page, right? This is the little signatures thing where we're gonna keep track of everything. This should be done. So I'm gonna put this over here for now. We still have B and C to go through. I kept B intentionally basically blank. This is very sloppy. I assume this one's gonna be gone, so I didn't really try. And the reason is I spilled water on it. So I spilled water on it and I was like, oh, it's a beautiful, happy accident. I don't have to work on this one, and we'll just have the people vote for B to be eliminated. So if you guys want to help me out, vote B to be eliminated. I guess you could vote for B to stay, and the reason for that would be this is blank, and then I'd be able to redo a 2-page thing rather than a 1-page thing. But we'll see, right? So let's get on to the third one, Student Commonplace C. So remember, I'm going to have 3 examples, and if you want a 4th one, I just need to have at least 1 person on the Patreon. So sign up for that if you have some spare cash laying around, I guess. Again, we've got a random signatures page. Oh, this is fun. I was trying to draw up some sort of like channel thing a while ago, and we just happen to have this page as like the scrap paper. Okay, so here we've got take your own advice. So this is more of a quotes page. Oh, it doesn't look like it's centered. Okay, this is more of a quotes page. So we've got take your own advice. So that might be helpful for someone in high school. And so if there was a student that thought that quote was very good, and they might just hold on to it, write down what you can't lose. That might just be a note to, prioritize your stuff. I'm not really sure. That's kind of a mess. And the reason for that is because I wrote all these today. So I don't know what I was thinking. And it might also be that the high school student doesn't know what they're thinking either. And so when one student eventually goes through and eliminates work done by the old students, that's the sort of thing they would cross out, and then they would just shrink the page a little bit because they don't know what that is, or they don't know how to use that, or they don't find that relevant. Up next, we've got when in doubt, do your chores. So I think that's good advice. It's like, are you supposed to be doing something right now? Do you need to pause the video and do your laundry, or wash the dishes, or get ready for the next meal of the day? Who knows? Then we've got be friendly with the custodians who work in the main building. Now, technically, you should be friendly with all the custodians. This does feel a little bit like the Bo Burnham song, where it's like, why bother making songs for the girls who don't have arms because they can't use iTunes? And it's like, that's a little toxic, right? Like, you should probably just be friends with all the custodians, or at least friendly. Don't give them more work to do. But it can be very helpful to know the people who work in the right location. So up next, we've got the language teachers are often trying out other languages. So for example, if you have a Latin teacher, it's very, very plausible, at least in the US, that they have tried Spanish in the past. They might have also tried Italian, and because they're probably a language nerd, they might have also tried Japanese. If they're American and they know at least 3 languages and they like learning languages, the odds are that they've tried Japanese at some point. Up next, the basement vending machine often has the cheapest prices and quarters left as change. So this might be a helpful note for a future student that's trying to save money. And they are hungry, though. Like, they want the snacks. So this note would probably be more helpful if it was just like, we have food at home. You don't need to buy more food. But maybe the student doesn't have food at home. and maybe the only time they can eat is at school. And so they're looking around and they're like, okay, where can I get a good deal? If my friend's going to help me out, where do I take that money? And so it's like maybe there is a special vending machine that has cheap prices. And sometimes people actually leave quarters because they're just like, this is a rich person's school. We're just going to leave some quarters in there because I don't pick up change. Up next is the school has rigid gender roles. It will demand you speak more or less depending on your gender, and sometimes based on if you are in band, football, or non-aligned. So this actually says a lot about the school, like this hypothetical school. So, for example, maybe the boys end up speaking a lot more than the women on certain subjects. But if it has rigid gender roles, I should probably be saying girls, even if the woman's like 45. Just because people can be like that in that sort of situation. And down here, we've got band, football, or non-aligned. So it looks like instead of having one group be in charge, like the football team runs the school, maybe there's the football and the band that run the school. Seems a little unusual, but I guess that's possible. And then a third category of non-aligned. So maybe there's a third group of people that just like hate these two groups and it's like, no, we don't do that. We don't do that here. Then we've got another note, learn a bit about Armenia if you want the shop teacher to give you second chances. So maybe there's a teacher in the school that loves a specific country in the world. Maybe it's their home country. Maybe they just love their soccer team. And so all you got to do is talk about how cool their favorite country is, and then they love you. That would be a very useful note. But it only applies to one specific teacher, whereas this note applies to a bunch of different teachers. And so it might be more helpful to know the best hobby, or at least like the assumed hobby of the majority of the teachers of one entire category, than it would be just to know that like one guy is going to think you're awesome. But if the one guy knows everybody and you also have like a club run by him that you joined and you have class by him and he's your homeroom teacher, like learn this information immediately. And then finally, it looks like we have the movie clubs play the same things each semester. So this is just a note, like if you're in the same sort of club, some of the information will be different depending on the club, but not in the movie clubs. Like it might be there's a club that shows historical movies and it only shows the same historical movies every year. And so if you're in it 4 semesters in a row, you might actually start hating the movies because you're just seeing them over and over and over again. And that might get kind of frustrating. So anyways, that is it for the student commonplaces. These are each my 1-page example, because remember, we're not counting the cover page, because that's just like the cover of a book. We're not counting the signatures page, because that is like our own contents page, sort of. And then we have 1 page. So the next time I do this, it's going to be 2 pages in each one. Make sure to vote for whichever ones you want to see again. So that'll be A, B, and C. And if you want A, B, C, and D, make sure there's at least one person signed up on the Patreon. So anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know what you think down below. All right, bye.